Hey there, multi-prep teachers. You know how professional development never seems to quite get to what we need? It's like, great idea, but how do I make this work when I have 3+ preps to juggle? That's exactly why I created the Simplify Your Preps Collective. It's a free Facebook group built just for teachers like you, where we share tips, resources, and real talk about making multi-prep teaching less overwhelming and more doable. Sound like your kind of space? Head to kristenmasick.com/collective and join us today. Let's simplify together. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to be sharing 4 essential things every teacher should focus on before the new school year. From creating a curriculum map to selecting teaching protocols, get ready for practical tips to help you feel prepared and confident as you approach the upcoming school year. Welcome to the Secondary Teacher Podcast, the podcast for middle and high school teachers juggling multiple preps to get the strategies to reduce overwhelm so that you don't have to choose between being an effective teacher and prioritizing important relationships. I'm your host, Kristen Masick, a 10-year high school engineering teacher, former middle school assistant principal, and teacher coach. Every week, we will discuss strategies, systems, and time-saving tips to help you not only survive but thrive as a multiple prep teacher. I remember when I got my first job and I was so excited. I was hired in the summer and I just wanted to start working on things. Now that might be where you are right now, or perhaps you're new to this multiple prep business or you've added additional preps, but you don't really know where to start. If I were starting today or tomorrow, here are the 4 things that you can work on either now or, quite honestly, you could even wait until a few weeks before school starts if you want to continue to enjoy your summer. The first thing is creating a curriculum map for all of your classes. You're going to want to have a general idea of the pacing or the scope and sequence, the units. You don't need to go down as far as lessons, but just having an idea of what is going to be happening generally in each one of your classes is going to help you feel less stressed as you go into the next school year, but then it will also give you an idea of what you need to develop when you need to develop it. If you have an idea of the end of level, the standards, whatever you're wanting to shoot for, your goals, that way it is going to make it much easier for you to plan as the school year starts. When this excitement, this newness wears off, you will have already created and established something to really keep going through the end of the year. Now, you can do the traditional way of going to Facebook groups, which I joke that's traditional because that's just typically what we always do, is ask who's teaching these classes. Does anyone have or know of a curriculum for each one of these classes? You could do that. That is one avenue to do that. And you may get some good things. You may not get some good things. The other one that is recent is to use AI to generate your scope and sequence, your curriculum maps. And you can do that with as little as a course description. I do have a workshop if you are interested in going that route. It is AI-powered curriculum mapping, and I will include it in the show notes here. It walks you through, it's 23 minutes long, really walks you through with all of the different prompts to get you your curriculum maps created and ready to go before the school year starts. Then the next thing that I would suggest that you do is to brainstorm some routines and procedures for your classroom. If you are an established teacher, it could be that you are refining what worked, what didn't work last year or the year before. If you are new and you have never been in the classroom before, this is something where you are going to want to explore this for the first time. Once again, I do have a resource, a procedures and routines planner in TPT, and I will include that link as well in the show notes. Another place where you can look is check out episode 99, where I list 12 simple classroom routines that you need as a CTE teacher, but it also applies to any secondary teacher as well. There are some very specific CTE teacher routines and procedures in there, just a couple of them, but listen to that episode as it will give you an idea of what you could establish for your classroom for the following year. The next suggestion that I have for you is to find 2 or 3 protocols that you would like to use in all of your classes. When I'm talking about protocols, I'm talking about something that is repeatable strategy of teaching your students. Some really popular examples are Jigsaw. If you haven't heard of Jigsaw before, the idea behind it is that you get groupings of students, and so you've got like 3 students who are all going to learn a certain aspect of your standard. Those students learn that information. They work on it with each other, they read something possibly, and then you've got other groups learning about different parts and pieces of that concept. And then what you do with the Jigsaw is you mix them all up, and then now those students, they've been broken up and now they're teamed with each other so they can share what they learned, and they're teaching the other students what they learned with their group. So that's a Jigsaw. Another common one that I really like to use is gallery walk. The idea behind that is different groups learn, once again, various parts of a concept, and they create a poster of it. Then they slap it up on the wall. And then as far as the gallery goes, then your students will walk around and they will once again learn from each other and take notes or whatever they want to do. You could also do a quiz system. An idea behind that is at the end of a lecture, you are having your students create quiz questions that they then use with one another and try to answer those questions, and perhaps you even turn it into a quiz for a bell ringer for the following class period. Those are all examples of protocols. If you do a Google search for protocols or teaching strategies, you're going to come up with a bunch of different things that could be things that you would want to use in your classroom. I would suggest finding 2 or 3 of those. Once you start looking through them, you might realize that there are some that you have experienced yourself or that you feel like you really enjoy. Those would be the ones that I would start with. Just have a few under your belt that you know you're wanting to use. That way, when the school year starts, when you're starting to do your planning, you're being explicit and you know, I am going to be using this fishbowl strategy and I'm going to use it in all of my classes and I'm going to use it all on the same day. Or my favorite is if you're using something that requires supplies, like the gallery walk with all the posters, then you are using that in the same class period, but you're just switching up the questions just based on what classes you're teaching. But then all of your supplies can already be out and you can leave them out during every single class period. And so you're not having to like juggle between one class is doing this and another class is doing this. It just makes it so it's a lot less chaotic and just seamless. It's easier for you to plan. That is the third suggestion. And then the final suggestion, especially if you are teaching in a lab setting or as a CTE teacher, is take inventory of your equipment and supplies. See what is already available and what needs to be ordered. The worst thing ever, and I have started school this way, is you're starting school and you don't have what you need. For example, I taught a robotics class where for the first half of the first term, I had no robots. We were waiting for them to arrive because they didn't get ordered until about a week before school started, and that didn't allow enough time for them to get to me. I wish I would have known before then, and we could have ordered them sooner so that I actually had them when school started. If we could prevent that from happening to you, let's do that. Double check, just see what kind of inventory, see what the state of your lab, your shop, what it's in so that you know if there are things that need to be ordered. Those would be my 4 suggestions if you are starting anew or if you're just really excited and you're wanting to get the ball rolling on your planning for next year. Is the first is to create a curriculum map for each one of your preps or classes. The second is to brainstorm some routines and procedures that you're going to want to be using in your classroom, and this really will help with your classroom management. And then third is find 2 to 3 protocols or teaching strategies that you are going to want to use in all of your classes, so that you have those under your belt and then you can reuse them and repurpose them for all of your classes. And then finally, take inventory of equipment and supplies so that you can start getting things ordered now in case there are shipping delays, so that you can just start when school starts and you can move when your students are with you in your classroom. If today was helpful to you, this episode could be helpful to others. Please share it with your teacher friends. And you can also tag me on Instagram at Kristen Massick, KHRISTEN MASSIC. Until next week.